Yeah.
Live is not a description I'd use for anybody here today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look, it changed colors.
All right. Do your thing.
Yeah. All right. If you would like to,
Whatever.
environmental access. Um,
Yeah, we have the last of the big summer air conditioning bills hitting, and
Yeah.
now
Pay for summer air conditioning. Um, if you like coffee, who doesn't? Talk to King Harvest. Remembering we have a second coffee anthology coming out. So say nice things about our coffee anthology. Say nice things about King Harvest, and let them know you heard about it here. If you like Smartass t-shirts and more every day, including some from Pecan, go here, tinyurl.com. Among the Leaves tees, there will be Pecan adjacent
Yeah.
t-shirts coming out. Also, friend of ours, support friends.
Yes. Todd, your folks did a super job.
Oh, no kidding.
Really appreciate all the work y'all put into that. And folks, if you ever get stuck with being the master at ceremonies,
The Waffle Master.
there's more to it than you think. And apparently, I got Rob Hampson to the point I left him speechless.
You broke Rob Hampson opening ceremonies. It was glorious. You broke Speaker. It was great.
Yeah. Well, the bad part was I had dirt on him. I had dirt
Bad part
on,
was his mother was in the audience.
and she was laughing about it.
Yes, she was.
She came up to me later and said that was good.
We were talking about, or there was something about erotica and
Well, that was Heather again.
yeah, Heather again. And the subject came up, and Rob was being snarky about maybe he'd write some, but that his mother was was his beta reader, and he couldn't subject her to that. And Jim said she'd catch all the mistakes, and Speaker was done.
The only one I didn't have dirt on was Brad Scott, the artist.
Nobody has dirt on Brad.
Oh, I found out later. Apparently, if I had let people know ahead of time, I could have found something. But
Do you know anybody that doesn't have dirt on them if you dig deep enough?
Yeah. Ian and I and Kelly also had to do the auction,
Apparently, that's going to be a thing from now on.
and we managed to raise a decent amount of money. Thank you to
Yeah.
those who spent the money.
And those who donated, thank you.
Yeah.
We got up there and we were our usual crazy selves, and we actually for Cedar auctioned off a cover, and we got her up there and we made her make big puppy dog eyes,
I take that.
and I sang.
Film at 11.
And I sang In the Arms of the Angels while Kelly did Starving Artist, only 35 cents a day. I think that was the big that was the big donation for the auction.
But people did not. There were people in the audience that did not get the $42 bid thing.
No,
That just
science fiction fans, my butt.
yeah. Speaking of books, we do need to talk about some books that have been released
Good Lord.
and are being released.
Good Lord, yes.
So if you would kick it off,
Don't start with me. Brain no worky. Brain no have think to do.
Moggy's released Friday.
Cat Alibi came out Friday.
Oh, yes. Oh, that was fun. Moggy Noir came out on Friday, our latest one. Doing rather well. We're quite pleased.
My brother's thrilled. He's on the cover.
Yes. That's great. I have no idea what else we're doing.
I've got a list.
Brain no have think to do.
Okay, John Van Stry
Yes.
has book 2 of his Ghost Warrior series out called Necessity.
How many series does that man have?
A bunch.
Okay.
And that's live now. Pete Nealon also has a second book out in his Edge of Imperium series called Cascade Effect. Again, a damn good read.
Pete's good, folks.
And I don't usually recommend histories, but Jack Carr and James Scott have started a set of military histories. And the first book in that series is the Marine bombing 1983 called Targeted Beirut.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of background, official document reviews, and interviews with survivors.
I really want. I'm probably going to order that
Yeah.
when I get home because I really want to read what they've.
But that
to
also
see how it
yeah, reminded
compares
me
to
of
what I know.
one. A lot of people don't realize Pete Nealon has written nonfiction also, and he wrote one called Operation Red Wings, which is the story behind Lone Survivor,
Oh,
and that is an excellent read. Jason Cordova does not have any more cancer. Yes,
Yes,
that is good.
that is fantastic
Oh,
news.
that is fabulous.
Yeah.
All right. So,
And Fred Hughes has a new book in his Heroes of Britannia series, which is a follow-on to the Prince series. That drops September the 27th. Jacob Holo's first solo novel, called Freelancers of Neptune, drops 1 October.
Well, we had it at the convention too, so.
And
Yes,
we
we
did
did.
have it at the convention, and that I think was the second biggest sale.
yeah,
And Heather was absolutely hilarious because,
oh, Heather's a sweetheart.
well, not only did Jacob sign it, but the cat Dazzle signed it. And as Heather said, she only got me a few times. And I said, well, if there's no blood, there's no proof. And she just looked at me like, why? And of course, Larry Correa is what was going to be single final book in the Saga of the Forgotten Warrior has turned into 2 books. And the first one, Graveyard of Demons, will drop 5 November. So a lot of stuff coming out.
we are currently open for Space Cowboy 6. Somebody at this table is guest editing it.
Future Stories Done is our last one.
It's going to be our last Space Cowboys for this year.
Yeah.
What am I thinking? Oh, okay.
Coffee Adventures is still open. You already mentioned that.
Yeah, Coffee Ventures is open, but it's closing here pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the date is. Coffee Adventures closes September 27th. So if
3 days basically.
3 days, you got 3 days. Finish your story, guys.
Yep.
Space Cowboys is open now, closes in October, but don't wait till last minute. Give this man stuff to do.
Yeah.
Um,
As if I don't have enough already.
Space Cowboys. It opened early August. It closes early October. Please write. It will publish in November. Pogue 1 is going to open in 5 days. And Mike needs work.
Yeah.
So, and he's giggling about this. So Pogue 1 opens the 29th, closing the 11th, but don't wait till last minute, guys. Okay.
Yeah. And our benefit anthology for the library, Cattlemen and Cowboys, closes the end of the month. And I'm happy to announce that Sandra Medlock has volunteered once again to be the editor of it.
Bless her heart.
Thank you, my
That's
dear.
another sweetheart. We keep running into these really sweet people
Yeah.
in fandom.
Now-
Heather and Sandra, nice folks.
Well, you think anybody's sweet to take some of the workload off of you.
Yes.
That's
Not complaining
that's the
at
very
all.
definition of sweet right now.
Yeah. And for the library anthology, it's a benefit. So you don't get paid anything other than exposure, which you die of, but
Yeah, but in this case, mild exposure.
Yeah.
That's something else.
Yeah. We've made about $3,000 for the library to support the children's programs. So I think it's well worth it. Cedar, I think, has volunteered for the cover this time again. I think. I gotta check.
Speaking of, I'm seeing at least two folks on here. We announced our novel lineup for 2025. T.C. Ross and J. Kenton Pierce are going to be our lab rats, starting authors, along with
And Rob
Sam Robb, John Van Stry, and Nick Nethery,
and Wally.
and Wally Waltner. John Van Stry will be our lead. Our first ever novel will come from the pen of John Van Stry. And then Tiffany Ross and J. Kenton Pierce have given us magnificent manuscripts. Magnificent. And Wally's is going to be fantastic. So
They've just some seriously fabulous work.
we lucked into some really, really good. Oh my God, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Jesse, one difference, we're not donating the profits. The way I set it up is the library is actually publishing the books. So the money goes directly to them. But I do have a funny story surrounding that. The first time we did it, the city actually controls the money.
City Library.
The city controls it and gives it to the library. And the city accountant started getting money from Amazon.
Yeah, didn't know where it was coming from.
Didn't know where it was coming from, didn't know what it was for, and went to send it back.
Yep, he was going to return it.
And I was asking the librarian, I said, well, have you heard anything yet? And she says, well, I got these notes from Amazon about payments, but I haven't seen it. And I said, did you check with the city accountant? And like 2 days later, she called me. She said, you're not going to believe what I found out. He was going to give the money back. Oh,
There's Jesse. Speaking of Jesse, it reminded me of something I was going to talk about. Let me find it real quick because I want to get the name right.
all right. While you're thinking about that, I have to tell the story of the little old Texas lady yesterday at the,
Yes,
at
you
the
do.
doctor's office. So I go to the doctor, and this is a community consult, so not the VA specifically. So I go in, there's this little old lady sitting there, and she looks up at me and goes, what time's your appointment? I said, well, 9:30. She said, good, I'm ahead of you. Okay, one of those little old ladies. So sat there for a couple of minutes, and her phone rings. She picks up, answers it, and I can tell it's a female on the other end. And she goes, well, I'm at the doctor. And I go back and forth. And then she says, well, the care assistant never showed up, so I drove myself. And the voice on the other end of the phone goes up about an octave and gets louder. And I hear, Mama, something, something, something.
Mama.
This little old lady goes, well, it's too damn hard to get doctor's appointment these days. I'm not going to be late, and I can take care of myself. And I hear, Mama, coming to get you. Fine. Hangs the phone up, sticks it back in her purse. And she kind of huffs and looks over at me and goes, I'm 93 years old. I can do whatever the hell I need to do.
Yes, ma'am.
And I basically went, yes, ma'am. I'm thinking she's in her 80s, maybe. She goes in for her appointment. I go in for mine. I come out. And I see her sitting in an F-250 crew cab long bed, waiting for her daughter. Now, folks, I don't know if you know how big an F-250 long bed is. They do not fit in parking spaces.
Not worth a damn.
They take 1.5 parking spaces.
They take a Texas parking space.
And that little old lady had that truck dead center in that parking space.
Of course she did.
Yeah.
She's been driving it for, she's 93. She's been driving it for 83 years.
Yeah.
Now, the question that was asked on Facebook, and I have to get a in person. Did you get the number of that cougar?
No,
All
but
right.
I would have loved to have known her about 40 or 50 years earlier.
Oh, she's a jewel now.
Yeah.
I guarantee she's a farm or ranch.
Yeah.
So Hugh, brain no working.
Jesse.
Jesse reminded me of something I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
There is a YouTube channel called Interstellar Road Tripper. It's run by a guy named Hu, H-U-Y, Huey or Hugh, or I don't know. They're scammers. What these asswinkles did was they were taking the human fuck yeah Reddit posts and running through an AI voice generator. So they were having AI read the Reddit posts.
Yeah.
Well, apparently they got greedy and they snatched up some John Van Stry stories, gave them Reddit titles, and started having them read on YouTube. Now, what people don't understand is this Ass Weasel has 10,000 plus followers. At 10,000 plus, you start getting monetized. He's getting paid for this. So he was ripping off John and probably other people, running through a no-cost AI to get an audio, and then people were, or YouTube was paying him for this. Well, John, being John, smacked him down.
Yeah.
Well, now his latest is Dear Redacted. We don't know who this is sent to. My name is Huey, whatever. I am the owner of Interstellar Road Tripper YouTube channel with 10,000 plus subscribers, right? Which focuses on narrating and showcasing written works from authors. That's new because usually it was just stealing them rather than showcasing them.
Yep.
I would like to request your permission to narrate and feature some of your works on my channel. That's different. He's asking this time.
Yeah.
I guarantee you won't be asking for long. If you grant me this permission, I will, 1, ensure that proper credit is given to you as the author. Oh, that's nice. 2, provide links to your Amazon's profile and social media profiles. I doubt that. And here's the money shot in, every sense of the word. This exposure could potentially help increase your visibility and popularity among my audience. Translation. He'll get more money.
Yeah. And
Please,
not get you any.
You're getting exposure. Does everybody remember the Rapture Press for definition of exposure? Exposure is what you die of when you don't have enough money to pay for a roof over your head, clothes on your back, or food on the table. Please let me know if you have any specific requirements or guidelines I should follow while narrating your work. He's not narrating it. The AI is. I am committed to maintaining integrity and respecting the rights of the authors whose works I feature. That's because John Van Stry got him good. Thank you for consideration. I look forward to hearing from you. Kiss my ass.
Yeah.
Again, his channel's monetized. He's getting payment for this. He's not paying for the AI doing the work. And he's been caught already once stealing from an author, renaming it so that he hoped the author that John couldn't find it, and running as letting people assume it was one of his humans fuck yeah Reddit posts that he was doing.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with that. I do have an issue with taking copyrighted work and doing it. Apparently the boy can learn because now it's this. Just be aware he's getting paid, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing about I actually saw a couple of his videos several months ago. At least I believe they were his. They were the humans fuck yeah Reddit things.
Yeah.
And one of the problems is that the AI does not do well with English.
No.
You're correct.
Sometimes the pronunciation and everything is way the hell off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Words are actually wrong.
And the tempo and cadence sets my
terrible.
teeth on edge.
Yeah, Tom, exposure scares children. Little old ladies would probably point and laugh. Oh.
No, it's apparent. I'm going to tell you what, and I will beat this drum to my dying day. Authors are some of the most parasitized creatures on this little green dirt ball.
Oh, yeah.
This guy's another parasite. He's offering you exposure.
Word mangles, cadence wrong, bad product, period. Yes.
Yeah. But apparently people are paying for it because he's got 10,000 plus subscribers. So it means he's monetized. It means that they're sending him money.
Well, in my particular case, it just came up randomly on my YouTube.
Yeah.
And the humans fuck yeah is a interesting series of threads on Reddit.
Yeah. Some are good, some are excellent, and then a lot of them are utter crap.
Yeah.
So when one came up, and it was, I paid attention to it. I thought the translation to YouTube was terrible, but then again, everything you hear off YouTube that you can tell is being done by AI is terrible.
Yeah.
Yes, Sarah, y'all are much more graphic than men are. She says, point and laugh right on a scale of 1 to 10 and ridicule.
The ladies are good at that.
Yep.
I've got a, if I even suspect, I'm hitting the reporting of stolen content.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I ought to go through and just report all the stolen content.
Yeah.
And do
Well,
that daily.
technically, it is. If he's not paying the original authors on Reddit, it is. It technically it is stolen content, and parasites annoy the crap out of me. They really do. We are so parasitized. We really are. There
Yeah.
are people that can't do this that are wringing money out of authors left, right, and center.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it just annoys the crap out of me.
Yeah, Sarah, that's a good point. Man exposes himself to me. I figure he's asking for feedback. I don't think he would necessarily like the feedback you would give him, Sarah. Speaking of feedback, the other funny one, which I got last night, only as we jokingly call it, the old fogies group on Facebook. It's a bunch went to high school together, a couple of different high schools. And apparently, one of the women found a picture from one of our farm parties back in the 1960s and posted it. And the girls are in short skirts,
Grandma was in a mini dress.
tight blouses, and drinking beer and long hair. And they're leaning up against a car. And apparently, one of the lady's granddaughters saw it and went, "Oh my God, that's Grandma." And apparently called Grandma and said, "I saw this picture.
What the hell?
Yeah. Is that really what
What were you thinking?
And Grandma proceeded to educate this young lady that, yes, Grandma knew how to party back in the day.
Grandma probably partied in a fashion that the kids these days would lose their minds over.
Yeah, remembering some of those parties, yes,
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
because there was a pond there.
Does ivermectin work on these parasites? Yes. As a matter of fact, it does. Once you take a brick,
Yeah.
empty the tube of ivermectin on the brick, make sure it's well covered, put it in a sock, and beat the parasite with it, and it will work. I guarantee you.
Yeah, here's a photo of Gene Simmons autographing your Meemaw's chest.
Right. And Meemaw was damn.
I see occasionally these
Meemaw got to be a Meemaw for it.
Yeah,
on Facebook. I occasionally see these pictures of a bunch of young girls
Yeah.
in bell bottoms or
Yeah.
mini skirts or some combination thereof, and no bras. And we all know the pictures.
Oh, yeah.
we
hell, we were in half of them.
well, and they always say something like, "Your grandma did this,
Yeah.
and she was way cooler than you'll ever be." And I'm going, "No, my grandma wasn't. However, I dated those girls."
Yeah. Yeah, well, one of the other girls in the picture was a longtime school teacher. And I can just imagine if this granddaughter had happened to have this particular woman as a teacher, what the response would have been.
I work in an independent living center.
Yeah.
With a whole bunch of 90-year-old little old ladies. I get to hear when granddaughters and great granddaughters find out what grandma and grandmama got. The advice given to granddaughters and great granddaughters is not something a gentleman should ever listen to. I have PTSD from overhearing conversations from 90-year-olds.
Why? You're not a gentleman. It shouldn't bother you.
Somebody like that should not be
When they start getting
giving that
descriptive.
advice. Should not be giving that advice.
Nothing worse than overhearing your girlfriend talking to her girlfriends when they don't realize there are any guys around.
There's
no.
nothing worse than overhearing a couple of grandmothers, great grandmothers telling a granddaughter how to get the jewelry.
I remember getting that phone call.
Ah!
You're not going to believe the shit I heard today.
If you won't do that, he'll find somebody who will. But make sure you get jewelry out of it.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And there's also the discussion of, well, how old is old enough that you can tell your husband no?
90-year-old grandma has 70 years of experience and no filter.
No kidding.
Yep.
Somewhere around 78, the filter goes bye-bye.
Oh no, 40.
40.
40.
40.
There I am sitting
God,
there.
we're in trouble.
mostly innocent,
So
And-
you guys have figured this out, right? You're
Yeah.
in the shop with me, right?
Yes.
mostly innocent, listening to overhearing conversations, and they don't care that I'm overhearing.
Well, here's the thing. They always talk about how sexually aimed guys are or whatever. Guys are relative babes in the wood compared to girls.
Yes.
Every time.
Oh yeah. I learned that in college the first time. Woof.
Yeah.
Nothing like having a little old lady roll her walker up to your desk, turn around, plonk down on it, and proceed to tell you she misses her first husband, particularly getting railed by him on a golf course.
Yeah.
Nothing like having a lady at a nursing facility hobble up to you on her walker and say, I may be old, but I can do things no self-lubricating woman could.
Oh yeah. And we're going to stop this line of questioning
Yeah,
and move
because
on.
my PTSD is coming back.
I think, yeah, old Russian babushkas reminiscing about the war years and all the fun they had. Yeah.
Go look at quokkas.
But one thing that I have to say about the con this weekend was a hell of a lot of fun
Yeah, it was.
because we went there with the intention of having fun.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And it was very small. It was less than 150 people.
Sometimes it's more fun.
But the crowd of professional authors there and professional
Just
Artists.
professionals.
The people with a direct contract or contact with the publishing industry
Yeah.
was about 149 of those 150.
No, they had 121 people, and 30 of them were from Racketeer Press.
Yeah.
Yes, they were.
So we represented pretty well.
So
Yeah.
the kidnapping. Canon Publishing kidnapped our editor, Sam Robb.
Well, it started sooner than that. but Okay.
Yeah,
that was
they-
the excuse we used.
So we were sitting in the bistro/bar.
It started before that.
Well, I know, but we were sitting in the bistro bar, and everybody knows little quiet Lisa, right? One of our editors. Small, shy, quiet.
Right.
Uh-huh. So we're talking about the Wiffle Ducks and how they came about so that I could throw them at people. And she was saying something about Canon having stolen Sam Robb, who's one of our, he's the author and editor of ours, and now he's writing, God bless him, he's writing for Canon. So Michael Morton walks by, who's the fantasy editor for Canon. And Lisa says, he's with Canon, right? I said, yeah. And she wings a wiffle duck at him. Whang! Whack! Clear, it was beautiful. Clear across the bar, 3 drunk people bounced it off of Mike. Mike comes back with a confused look. Is this yours? Yes, thank you. So he apparently decided this was war. This was not war. Them stealing our author was war. Anyway, so I'm at the No Shit There I Was panel, about to expound at length, and I get shot in the back by Mike with a rubber dart. Well, okay then. Sunday, they had the What's New at Canon Press panel at 10, and we had the What's New with Racketeer Press panel 11. So I spent Sunday morning with a bag full of wiffle ducks, running around the con, sneaking around the con. And I would sneak up to people and go, hand them 3 wiffle ducks. Do not launch until I give the signal, and then I'd take off. The number of very confused but very happy people was great. So an unindicted co-conspirator and I talked one of the hotel staff into unlocking the locked door that was behind the panel going where they were giving their presentation. And Liz has video of me warming up because I intended to, Sam was on the panel. I was going to grab Sam. And if he didn't go with me, I was going to get him in a fireman's carry. And I was limbering up. So I made sure, and when we're doing this, we're going to make sure we don't interfere with business. So I was standing out there and I made sure that they were done with their presentation. And then I yanked open the door, yelled, "Ha ha!" Jumped in and shot Mike, dropped the gun, grabbed Sam and did the best Special Forces exfiltration I could. Bent over, running through, and the entire crowd was pelting Cannon with wiffle ducks.
And I missed it because Rob Hampson and I were sitting outside talking. Damn it.
And it was you only borrow Sam.
Glad you made it home, Matt. And yeah, the weather might get a little testy down there for y'all in South Florida.
I would like this is going to, we had a back and forth on Facebook declaring war and retaliating and stuff. We're going to drag Jumpmaster into it and Three Ravens into it. There's video, Liz's video from the outside and actual video from the audience. And I'm given to understand that
James says, "Do you know this means war?"
Yes, we do.
And his best buddy voice.
So apparently they're going to black and white it and do a dispatch from the front type of thing. I have no idea what they're doing. They're going to have fun. We're going to James Copley's on here.
Yeah,
he was part of the Cannon crew.
He got double ducked.
There are people that don't understand what we're doing, and if you've been following me for a while, you understand that I very seldom do things with one purpose in mind.
Yeah.
I find it inefficient. So we started the Great Wiffle Duck War, for fun, because it's the current political, economic, social climate. People want to have fun. The secondary purpose is that I'm trained in observation, people. That's what the Army taught me to do, and I was very good at it. I observe and make decisions, observe and report. There are small presses that should be much bigger than they are. They really are. But you go to a con and you have a what's new with or what's new with Cannon or what's new with Three Ravens, and the panel is very sparsely attended.
Yeah.
I was absolutely appalled when I found out that Jumpmaster Press, which is big in military science fiction, nobody at LibertyCon knew who they were.
Yeah.
This is the oncoming golden age of small presses. We are poised to make a major impact in publishing. Okay, so the secondary purpose of this is Cannon, I hope, is going to retaliate. We will drag Jumpmaster and Three Ravens to it. There's going to be safe, non-destructive retaliation, and people are going to talk about it. Everybody that was in the audience is going to talk about where they were when the Great Wiffle Duck War started. Yeah. They'll at cons. Other people are going to be intrigued, and they will go to these panels to see what happens. They're going to come to our panel to see what Cannon does in retaliation. They'll come to Cannon's panel to see what we do in retaliation. And while they're there, they'll listen. Yep. They'll listen. They'll learn things. So not immediately after a while, we're hoping that the very fun Wiffle Duck War results in standing room only presentations on what's new at various cons, because Cannon deserves to be bigger than they are. Three Ravens deserves to be bigger than they are. Yep. And the only thing keeping them from being big is the fact that nobody knows about them. Well, I'm going to try to fix that.
Well, the other thing too, and I want to talk a minute, we have not talked about panels. The quality of the panels this week.
Oh, good Lord, yes.
Being able to sit down for an hour with Rob Hampson and talk about neuroscience.
Oh God, that's glorious.
Yeah. To be able to, we did a panel on swearing in science fiction. What's enough? What's too much? Which way do you go with it? How many F-bombs or no F-bombs? We did a firearms panel with over 200 years of firearms experience on the panel. Wow. Including a active duty law enforcement.
Who's that? Yeah.
From an agency, local agency in Dallas, who's also an author.
Oh, well done.
And he had one dry sense of humor. But what we tried to do with every panel was to help people out. And by and large, I think the panels were fairly well attended.
Hmm. Oh yeah, for having 120 people, the
Yeah.
panels were wonderfully attended.
And we had 3 spaces that we were doing panels in simultaneously, so plus readings. So I think I think they went fairly well, and you get a lot of time where you could get one-on-one with an author and ask questions. Yeah, exactly, Doug.
Yep.
What can substitute?
Yeah.
And I'll take this one step further. One of the things that we came up with, excuse me, was the fact that you have to be careful what curse words you use where, because something that we say normally over here has a different meaning overseas
Oh yeah.
or other English speaking people. Or if you pull a curse word from another language, be very, very, very careful about using Google Translate or any translate programs.
When it comes to swearing, Google Translate's not.
Anything, any
Yeah.
translation. Got to go fight my Ritalin. Have fun,
Yeah.
Liz.
For Ritalin. She needs Ritalin.
But I'll give you the classic example of my fuck up. In a Gray Man, I use a lot of Spanish, and I can kind of sort of speak Spanish, not well. I can stumble around in it. And Miguel Gonzalez, Meggie is a friend. I sent him a copy to see what he thought of it, and I basically got this screed back about how screwed up my Spanish was. And he said, "Send me the shit and I'll fix it." And he did. Because between my Texican Spanish and certain translation programs, I was screwing up big time. So everything where I had a Spanish text, I sent to Miggy to fix. He probably had to fix 95% of it. In my military space opera or military sci-fi, I use Gurkhas. And through connections, I got a retired Gurkha warrant officer in London who reviews my stuff with Gurkhas, including language, food, and social interactions. Because the last thing I want to do is screw that up.
Yep.
Hook 'em horns in Europe. Yeah, good example. Yeah, as DA says, some curses you only use if you have running shoes on and a gun in your hand. Yep.
But on the Great Duck War thing,
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned interpretive dance.
Yeah.
We do a really good panel, if I do say so myself. The flinging the ducks,
Yeah.
everything, really good panel. But if you can leverage, and the interpretive dance is great, it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
But we're leveraging the audience. If the audience gets involved, the audience gets to throw a duck or be involved in it. They're going to tell everybody about that.
Yeah.
And everybody that, if they tell 20 people and 5 of them decide to show up in the panel to see what happens next and to have a chance to be part of it. And then those 5 people, they get to throw a duck or hold a door open or whatever. They'll tell, each one of them will tell 20 folks.
Yeah.
Now you've got 100 people told.
Yep.
And I'm trying to build.
Yeah.
The only thing keeping these small presses from taking over, because we've got good stuff coming out. China's got good authors. They've got good stories.
There's really 2 things that are holding small presses down: marketing and lack of ability to get in bookstores.
Mm-hmm. I can't do anything about the ability to get in bookstores.
Yeah.
However, I think if small press can get over the hump and more people know it and it becomes an actual viable alternative to Big Five,
Yeah.
I think the bookstores will come asking.
Yeah.
Well,
So I can't do much, but I can do a little.
and I don't know if it's still true, but some of the bookstores already have print-on-demand machines in the bookstores.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
They're not common, but some of the like
Some of the big ones, yeah.
some of the big ones, you can go in and say, "I want a copy of
Law Dog Files.
Law Dog Files."
Yeah.
And they go back in the back, and that's so many
Yeah.
dollars, and you print it out right there, bind it, and
Oh, that's cool.
I know that was those were available like 5 or 6 years ago.
Because Barnes and Noble used to have them.
I will change the culture if a hair lip's ever cannibal in Congo.
Yes, sir, Brass. I purposely do not offend Gurkhas. As a matter of fact, I've been so inoffensive. I actually got an interesting Christmas present 2 years ago. A issued Gurkha from the British, and it is the true correct thing. So yes, I was very appreciative of that because those
Do you-
things are hard to come by.
Do you wear it when appropriate?
No,
But I have a good. I foresee a future that I think it is attainable if we work at it, where the location small presses are at now and the location the Big Five are at now changes.
Yeah.
I think that's attainable. We just give us 10 years.
Well, I can't remember anything I bought from a big press in the last decade.
Yeah.
There's too much small press stuff available. It's generally better and it's a lot cheaper.
well, I will admit I do buy some stuff from the big presses because that's the only way I'm going to get it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's
Because we don't have any small presses doing military history.
or any
Not
kind of nonfiction in general.
Yeah, not yet. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Not yet. Because most people don't realize small presses exist. A lot of them don't. A lot of people do not realize that small presses exist.
Yeah.
And if they do have this nebulous thought that small presses are out there, they don't know my name. They don't know where to look. I'm
Or-
going to fix that.
Or they think of them as vanity presses.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fix that.
Well, and somebody up the comment chain managed to mention Draft to Digital, and I have heartburn with Draft to Digital for a couple of reasons. One is I have my own business. I have had for a number of years. Because I am a author that wants to publish through them, they would not accept my federal EIN. They wanted my personal
Social security number.
social security number. I would not give it to them. And I told them that what they were doing was illegal. And their third party that does their compliance basically said, well, you do it our way or we won't print your book. Fine. But goodbye. Nice knowing you. Bain is a big press of excellence. Bain is a small press. They are not a major. They're not one of the big five.
They're a subsidiary of one of them.
Of Simon and Schuster.
Don't get me lying.
Yeah. But the advantage that they have is they are in Simon and Schuster's distribution network. So they do get into bookstores.
Yeah.
I have seen Larry's books in bookstores, including military bookstores overseas.
Same with Ringo and
Yeah.
Weber.
And I've also gone into bookstores and couldn't find Larry's latest.
Oh,
There's-
yeah.
There's some bookstores, that's not being with a big five is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
If you piss off the right
Well-
illiterati,
Yeah.
they'll make sure you're. There used to be all over Twitter people boasting about hiding Larry's bookstore employees boasting about hiding Larry's books in the back.
But the other thing, as a reminder about publishing, is the 80% rule. A lot of people don't realize what the 80% rule is. let's say they give you a $5,000 advance. Okay. The only way you're going to get paid after that is if you sell out at advance. Now, Larry routinely sells out his advances. Yeah, Larry was the biggest seller in Baghdad for a number of years. Yeah. But let's say that initial print run is 10,000 books. Okay. Just for drill. That 10,000 books gets distributed to bookstores. Now you have what are called remainders. Those are books that don't sell that come back. They may have the cover ripped off of them, or the bookstore will quote, I sold X of Y. So the next print cycle, they'll only print 8,000 books. The next print cycle after that, they'll print 80% of 8,000.
They print less each print cycle.
They print less each print cycle. Now, you publish your second book. Is it going to start with 10,000 books? No. It's going to start at the same 80% level as your first book. Third book, same thing. So you're printing less and less each time. And the tax law changes that kill the backlist. Yes. Well, what happens is, especially if you're let's say a mid-list author, not at the top of the line, but a mid-list author, by the third book, you have no advertising, you're not getting a good cover, and you are so far down in the weeds that if you get anything out of the publisher, you're lucky. If the publisher even publishes your book anymore. Plus the fact they have rights to that book for a long time.
Oh, don't get me started on contracts.
That's-
Hello. So, yeah, this is what happens when Ian gets professionally annoyed.
Yeah.
He starts plotting.
But this is a huge issue. And this is where, as an indie, you have an advantage because you're still controlling everything yourself. And if you're honest, if you're a small press and honest with your authors, then they're going to stay with you because they know they're getting told the truth.
That's something I've said from the get-go.
Yeah.
Is I'm not going to be wearing a silk suit next year.
Yeah.
In 20 years, I intend to be making quite a bit of money, but I'm going to spend the first years treating, getting a reputation for treating authors right. If I treat my authors right, they'll treat me right down the road.
Well, it's the song and dance of, how many books did you sell? Well, we don't have to tell you that. What was it, 4-5 years ago now? When Sarah, Dave Freer, and somebody else got the identical payment for the year, and it was like $400.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they knew they'd sold more books than that. But the publisher wouldn't tell them how many were sold.
And a lot of times they deliver stuff so they can't.
Yeah.
And
they will tell you if you start poking them, or if your agent starts poking them, do you want to ever publish another book? Because if you go forward with this, we will blacklist you.
And they do.
And they do.
And it's the people that set this up back in the 1890s were smart.
Yeah.
A lot of cases, they quite deliberately can't tell you how many you sold because of the idiot way they do it. And when you try to yank them into court, they can quite honestly say, we have no idea how many you sold. Sorry.
Yeah.
And they can be honest about it because it's set up that way. Talking to Ben Yallow about
one of the many things Ben
traditional
knows.
publishing has been an educational experience. The man knows where the bodies are buried. And there was one press that from the get-go was money laundering for the mob. It was expressly set up for that.
Yeah.
I think it's folded by now, but don't quote me on that. There was one that was expressly set up to money launder for the mob, launder money for the mob, because the mob watched other big presses that were basically money laundering.
Yeah.
And went, wow, we need a cut of that.
Yeah.
Ben was telling me that, the books that are sold in airports, bookstores.
Yeah.
They get there Monday morning, 8 o'clock, put on the shelves. When the bookstore closes that night, they rip the covers off, anything left, send the covers back, junk. The 8 o'clock Tuesday morning, they get a fresh shipment of books. Do the same thing. 8 o'clock Wednesday morning, fresh shipment of books.
Certain airports, yes, that is
Yep.
true.
And this muddies the bookkeeping so much that I was telling Ben, I said, Ben, I think that traditional publishing needs to be the subject of a RICO, racketeering influence corrupt organizations investigation. And Ben grinned at me. And he said, it's set up so you
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, and it's even more interesting when you go overseas and go into a bookshop in an airport. Because you will see titles from the U.S., but with different covers on them and with different blurbs. It's the same book, but it has a different cover and a different blurb on the back. And what they're doing is they're selling the same book, trying to sell it 2, 3, 4 times, because depending on which country, you get one cover. You go to a different country, you get a second cover. You go to a third country, you get yet another cover.
Well, and I have seen that done with anthologies by a particular author here in the United States. And when I say that, Dixon had one anthology that I bought several different times because I thought I was buying a new anthology.
It was the same one.
It was the same one, which
different cover and all.
Yeah. Now, some people do go back and clean up their covers. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I don't do it because, one, I can't afford to. Yeah, Rick, Terry Pratchett's work's a good example. But I don't go back and clean it up because, one, I can't afford to, and two, I think my covers are pretty damn good out of the box.
Your covers are excellent.
Yeah.
We are redoing the Malta.
Yeah.
Relaunching Malta. We're redoing the covers because I whiffed on the covers for those. The covers say travel log.
Yeah.
Travel guide. And I didn't know what I was doing. Still don't. And I whiffed that one pretty bad. So Cedar is building us covers that say anthology, Malta anthology, and we're going to re-release those with covers that I think will boost sales.
That makes sense. But when you actually purposely change covers to be country dependent.
Yeah.
And they didn't. Yeah, that's a good point, Rick. They didn't Americanize Pratchett's books like they did the first Harry Potter book. Yeah.
Speaking as somebody that's worked law enforcement for 26 years and did some organized crime stuff, if I can't walk into your accountant's office at 5 o'clock on Friday and find out how much money with plus or minus you have, you're racketeering.
Yeah.
And you cannot walk into a publishing house and they can't tell you how much money you have or they have plus or minus. They can't. They have no idea. Don't have a clue.
Same thing with Hollywood accounting.
Yeah.
Hollywood learned accounting from the book publishers.
Yep.
One thing I wonder is how much collusion there is between the big five. And when I say that,
it's huge.
The hardback covers are all roughly the same.
Yeah.
Paperback covers are all roughly the same. Everything about them is so similar.
Yeah.
That a lot of times, other than their brand specific authors, you can't really tell the difference between Simon Schuster and Tor.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, a couple of years ago, there was that lawsuit against Hatchet and Randy Penguin about the price collusion.
Mm-hmm. They collude all the time.
Yeah. And that one disappeared from the face of no coverage anyway.
And I'm willing to bet if you went and looked, a state's attorney or federal attorney that was running that all of a sudden got a book deal.
Yeah.
That's happened before.
Yeah.
Looks like Soldier is going to be at FinCon. No, it's well, the thing about the Big Five is they swap personnel.
Yeah.
When you leave one, you go to another one. They swap personnel back and forth all over the place.
Yeah, but it's incestuous because every damn one of them lives in Manhattan.
By the way, Soldier's going to be at FinCon. If you see Copley, that's Soldier.
Yeah.
I forget which one's his pen name, which one's his real name.
Copley's his real name.
Okay.
Soldier was
Yeah.
his Facebook handle.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So-
even Tony got Weisskopf got
Yeah.
confused over
Well,
that one.
now that I know that, in 30 minutes I'll have forgotten again.
Yeah.
So James Copley's going to be at FinCon, Jonna.
Spaghetti code is job security. Yeah. And James also is a programmer for Intel, so he's busy.
Oh yeah. But no, the whole thing is as somebody said earlier, large multinational corporations, they have too many divisions, separate finance departments. You can still get a plus or minus.
Yeah.
If not, they're racketeering somewhere. And quite honestly, most multinationals are racketeering somewhere. Trouble is I'm not wrapped up in doing stuff that competes with large multinational corporations, so I don't care.
When I was working for the government in program management, every week I had an accounting of where I stood on the budget. Every week.
Yeah.
Because yeah, speakers talking about using a pen name again.
Yes, for stuff
Maybe
is
the same, maybe different.
the stuff his mother's not going to be allowed to first read.
Yeah. But the thing is, that was part of our job as a program manager, was to manage the money and account for the money.
Yep.
And when you go into business, one of my former shipmates is the president of a U.S. division of an international company. He does the same thing on a weekly basis, and this is a multi-billion-dollar company. He is accounting to the head office every week for what that division does.
Mhm.
And he has turned a huge profit with it, and actually just bought another company here in the States, one of their competitors, which was a whole bundle of fucked up because certain other competitors tried to get them in the U.S. for antitrust.
Ooh.
So things get interesting at the upper levels.
One of the things about it is there are sometimes when there was 3 dealerships in town when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Car dealerships.
Oh, yeah.
I believe one was a Buick, one was a Chevy, and one was a Geo.
Yeah.
Which meant you could buy the same car in 3 different places with 3 different badges on it, and that was the only difference between them.
Yeah.
Well, but they were not racketeering. They were not all the same place.
Well, GM and Ford and Chrysler back in the day, Dodge, pricing structure for parts. Because I found this out through my grandfather being a mechanic. Depending on what car you were buying a part for,
Was the price of the part, even
was
though
the price of the part, even though it was the identical part. Because if you were, for example, buying for a Ford Thunderbird, say an upper arm bracket, it was one price. If you were buying for the low end Ford car, it was a separate part number.
and if you were buying for the Mercury Cougar, which was exactly the same as the
Yeah.
T-Bird, it was a third number.
It was the third price. Yeah. Chevrolet did the same thing. You had one price for the Corvette, one price for a Malibu or Bel Air, and one price for the Impala.
I remember. Everybody remember that Lincoln had a pickup, a luxury pickup. It was an F-150 with extra goodies.
Yeah.
And one of the things that absolutely set my teeth on edge was I had an F-150 at the time, and I went to buy.
Lincoln Blackwood, yeah.
Was that the pickup? I don't
Yeah.
know. I went to buy. I think it was stabilizer arms, but don't quote me on that. Something up in the front end.
Yeah.
And I could buy the Ford version, or I could buy the Lincoln version that were the exact same
Oh yeah.
thing from the exact same factory. Only the Lincoln version cost twice as much.
I used to drive Pintos back in the day.
Jonathan LaForce did not invent tactical romance. Period. End of statement. That was Dorothy Grant.
I used to drive Pintos all the time during
Yeah.
that back then. My mother went out and bought a Mercury Bobcat. The difference between the Mercury Bobcat and the Ford Pinto,
Yeah.
I think, besides the badge on the front, my mother's had a map light that
Yeah.
came down out of the ceiling that was
Yeah.
directional.
Yeah, stuff on the hood was the same though.
Everything under the hood, everything under the body skin was identical. And the body skin was identical except for the badging.
Dagamore, come back tomorrow and wait till the chat kicks in and read Roger.
And you
Hopefully the interview went well enough you get a job in Huntsville.
you had to change the starter every so often in those things.
Yeah.
Starters were just bad on them.
Oh, that was another thing. The Ford F-150 starter and the Lincoln Huzma Guzit starter were the exact same starter.
Yeah.
But there was an extra digit on the Lincoln one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I've been buying Pinto parts.
Yeah.
And I wound up getting my Mercury's Bobcat from her, my mother's
Yeah.
Mercury Bobcat. And I needed a starter.
Yeah.
And I pulled the old starter out to go to the store, and I looked at it, and it's the same as.
Yeah.
But the pricing on it was a whole
Oh,
other ball game. I went and got another Ford starter
Yeah.
for a Pinto.
Oh yeah. Ray mentioned AMC. AMC, yes, it was an amalgamation of everybody else, but AMC did build their own engines, which was odd. But they built their own engines. Their 351 and 390 engines were AMC built. And they actually were as powerful, if not more powerful, than the Ford engines. And on that note, folks, we've wasted another hour of your time.
We have.
Oh my God.
We'll be here Thursday.
Yep. God willing, the creeks don't rise.
Cedar will be here, so
Yeah.
it'll actually be interesting.
I would just want to say thank you to those that I did get a chance to talk to this weekend. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to talk more with you, but cons are that way.
No kidding. For what was not going to be a working con, this turned into a working con.
Yeah. And just remember, folks, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff. And we'll see you Thursday.
Be safe, guys. See you Thursday.
Bye.
Well, that sure doesn't look nearly as bright on you as it did.